So we're gathered here today for the listening party of Primeval Order, and we have the full band here, Wackenfeld, and the first single, Primeval Order, is the opener of Faustian Reawakening. So I'm going to read from the from the sales sheet here. The first single, Primeval Order, is the opener of Faustian Reawakening and deals with the hypocrisies that characterizes many political and religious doctrines, where the tolerant invariably prove to be the most intolerant, and those who praises democracy are the most authoritarian. So that's my take on those very difficult English words. And then we have the B-side. The Razor's Edge is our humble celebration of one of the greatest bands ever, AC/DC. The song is one of the heaviest and most sinister tunes ever written and fits well with our sound. That's the introduction that we've given our label partner, Sound Pollution. And so, guys, please let everyone know what your thoughts on this very, very grand return to the main stage. So the first single, Primeval Order. I think we're gonna have a bit of a listening party here, and we're gonna get to see how this song came together, and we're gonna have a playthrough of the Logic document where the guys had from the demo up until the orchestrations to maybe a bit of a playthrough of the drums to maybe some guitar parts and vocals. And this is the first time we do this, so we may get through alive. It's a bit of
we'll learn as we go.
A bit of a razor's edge here, yes.
Yes.
So where do we start? Did we hear something about a demo that I guess was sent from Dr. Phil Yoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jon had a demo called Non-Human Sin that he sent me, and it was a great track already. So I started to work on the demo. But what was your thoughts or your ideas of Non-Human Sin, the demo you sent me, Jon?
I think the beginning of the song, or the initial seed of it, was the riff, and I thought I was inspired by Behemoth. I can't really remember, but it's something like that. I wanted to do something that sounded black metal, but was a bit heavier, on the heavier side, and meatier. So that, and I thought the main riff was catchy, like it's really simple. So that's how it started. Then I made some ideas around it, and then I sent it to Thomas, who refined it. So it turned out really good. Something that I'm really proud of.
It's a great. We have been compared to Behemoth many times before. I have really not listened that much to Behemoth until The Satanist, actually, and that's their black album, so to speak. If you compare to Metallica, and they have, I don't know, the die-hard fans of Behemoth wasn't too happy about the Satanist album, as far as I am concerned. But I think it's a great album. And
is it too many ballads on?
Yeah, no, I have some ballads maybe, I don't know, but it's a very sinister and great record.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to you guys the other day, you definitely talk a lot more about a band with our Danish little friend Lars Ulrich in it than Behemoth. So I think that was the theme for the first album too. The Interpreter, that you when you put an album together, you use the formula from, is it like Master of Puppets?
Yeah, Ride Lightning and
Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets. So maybe like, do you want to for the people that don't know that formula by heart, would you tell it?
yes, I think, of course, I love all the Metallica albums, Saint Anger and included. Maybe Lulu was a miss in the.
I haven't dared putting that one on yet. I have it. It's maturing in my shelf so far.
There's some great riffs on there and great production actually, but I don't know it. It's not my cup of tea. But the three classic records, Ride Lightning, Master Puppets, and Justice for All, they had the formula that they begin with a fast song with an intro, and then they go to the
Title track.
title track, exactly. That is often quite mid-tempo, a little faster than mid-tempo maybe, but and then they have this heavy third song, and then they have the ballad, so to speak, and then they have the fifth song is the opening for the B side if you buy an LP, and then there's a fast song again, and then a mid-tempo song, and then instrumental, and then a fast ending song on the record. For example, on Master Puppets, you have Battery, Master Puppets, The Thing That Should Not Be, and Sanitarium on the A side, and then on the B side you have Disposable Heroes, Leper Messiah, Orion, and Damage Incorporated. And I think this, like for example, a symphony by Beethoven or a symphony by Bruckner or other, they have a certain formula that adhere to our psychological way of digesting music, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think Metallica definitely found something there that is very, very good. A dynamic whole record, so to say.
Lars Ulrich has been known to do a bit of thinking.
Yes.
When it comes to figure stuff out. So it's and I think it works. It's great.
Yeah, it's a very good. So this is the opener for Faustin Reawakening. This fast song.
Did you have like a acoustic intro thoughts too, or is that coming later as a bonus? Because now, Jon, there's a little bit of a story behind it's a short intro now.
Yeah, I can't remember how I did it actually. How it just the sounds I used, everything you hear in the intro is something played by me, but I can't really remember what I played. But I think some guitars and stuff reversed, and then just in the last second of the intro is like a voice that comes in, and
that was from a movie.
Yeah, the idea was from
who's it called? Amityville
Horror. Yeah.
Yeah.
The original one. There's a priest in a room on the in a room with a lot of windows, and in all of the windows there's a lot of flies flying around. It's like the flies.
That's a great scene, because I haven't seen that movie in a million years, and I still remember it. Yeah.
There's just more and more flies coming, like and the sound intensifies, and all of a sudden there's a voice coming from nowhere, like, get out of here, like, and then it comes in like, and I remember the first time I saw the movie, I thought it was really scary, so that's what I tried to capture, that evil like voice from nowhere, like, and then it just becomes silent, and then the song starts.
Cool. And then was this the first song that you played on with the band? Because you joined the band between, or like after the first album sometime. So was this the first song you played on, or did you play on something else before but
If
because
I
this was a quite early song, I think.
Yeah, it was quite early, first, second, or third, or something like that. It's been a while, so I don't remember entirely, but one of the first.
Yeah, because there's a clip that I think about that you I think it's been up for a while, but we can maybe add that in later where you're working on. I think you're working on the guitar solo for this song.
Yeah, that might exist somewhere on internet. I'm
Yeah.
gonna check it out.
Yeah, so hopefully we can edit that into here and have some. So was that when you worked on that solo? What were your like? Was that like something that you wrote, or did you just get inspired in the moment and play it through a couple of times, or how do you work when you
It's a mixture
do
of both.
solos?
At first, I just listen to the solo part, the backgrounds, and see if there is anything there that I can apply to the guitar.
Yeah.
And with Buckenfeld songs, it's always something I can pull from to get inspired. And then I begin writing. I listen to what I have in my head and I write it out.
And do you write it out, or do you write it out? Because both, like, can you write what's it called? I can't even. Notation.
Yeah, a few solos I've actually written out, like with a pen on sheet music. But most of the time I just play it until it's in my hands, and then I record it.
Cool.
And most often it's one take solos. So if there's a mistake, I leave it in because it's the human element.
Yeah. So what we see in that video, that's your take that is on the album, basically, or?
I think it's the actual take.
Cool. Awesome. Magic.
Like a pro.
Yeah. Cool. So are we gonna talk some more about the parts, or are we gonna listen and then talk about the parts? What do you guys want to do?
Should we take a listen on the
demo first, or
a little bit?
Yeah.
See what the spark for this masterpiece was.
I have it here.
And Jon, like pro, put on his mute thing there.
Yeah, I'm just yelling, more coffee. I tried to spare you.
Garçon.
Garçon.
Garçon. Coffee. Garçon means boy.
Hey, I put it on with the intro and everything. And there's your lyrics here, Jon, and you're singing, you're playing all the instruments here on the demo.
Yeah, it's usually when I record something, as we spoke on the other day, I'm not putting too much effort on playing it well on the demo. That's never my intention. It's more because for me, when the creative side like starts, then I'm really I have to work fast because my mind is way faster than my skills on the computer and the guitars and everything. So it's like I have to do this. So it's for me. It's more important to just get the idea like on tape, and the lyrics are just gibberish. It's nothing. I don't think it's just me singing like the Cookie Monster. And then I just had the phrase non-human sin because I thought it was like a cool phrase. So that's the only thing that's actual words, I think.
And that was that the title? Because I seem to remember it for quite some time. Was that the title for a long time also before you changed it to Primeval? And how did the change come about? Like Primeval, is that just another way of saying non-human sin, or was it because the the lyrics took another turn than away from the
Yeah, it was
the
more
title.
like a retrotopian's perspective of the pre-Christian times.
So when you say primeval, is that
yeah, it's
you're thinking about
ancient, like ancient
what
order.
what year are we in?
In the Nordic countries, somewhere around year 1000.
Okay, so we're like we got Viking helmets on.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Just to put
And the old order with small scale societies, not a big centralized power.
where it was a little more
Church,
easy to get rid of somebody.
Yeah, if they misbehave, then they will, and you can praise people easily if they behaved good and treat their people good, and treat each other good. So I think it was more you could look your boss in the eyes, so to say, not centralize power like that have been the case for the last thousands of years. The last 1,000 of years. For example, the Vatican or the EU or something like that. So, should we take a listen to the
Of
demo?
course,
Yeah.
I think we owe everybody. We get Beavis and Butthead going.
Yes. There's some new Beavis and Butthead coming out.
boy.
Great.
Most people would have been like, okay, that's ready for release, I would say. So I like the cross you have in your face right now too.
Yeah,
It's I thought we were not going to be political or religious here. No, that was
like I said, it's upside down.
that's an awesome demo. To be very try to sound my most American. Awesome. That's fucking awesome. Like a drum kit falling down a long flight of stairs in high speed.
I think
So
maybe in some way or another.
what?
What is it, Thomas?
I think we should release that in a
Definitely.
or another.
That should be I mean, if you hear it once, you won't hear it again. So it should definitely be available somehow. Maybe we can put it up on I guess the quickest is to put it up on like a bonus thing on Bandcamp.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
like people get it with because you can download it from Bandcamp right now, I think also. So that would be if you guys agree, I would think that would be awesome to have it as a bonus thing.
Yes.
Make people want to go to the Bandcamp site even more. That was a wake up thing. Maybe we should have started with that. That was like high speed coffee.
It's really intense.
Yeah.
It sounded more Behemoth now. I haven't listened on the demo for quite a while.
I love demos. There's always something about demos that have that energy of and I think it's that thing where you, like you say, you don't have the time to think too much, and that energy is what is it's magic always.
Yeah, but I think we all work in different ways, and for me, I think usually it becomes better when I'm not putting too much time into things. I mean, it's more like obviously you have to put time in stuff to when you record like a album or something to make I can't remember the words. To make
when you're producing something, or
I mean, to make the performance like as good as you can do. But when I, at least for me, when creating something, it's more like you open up. It's a little bit religious almost. You open yourself up for channeling something almost.
Yeah.
It's like you're just sitting there, and it's like
and afterwards you don't remember where it came from. Because I think that's what you said also with you don't remember what you played, what instruments you played, even in the intro. Like,
yeah, usually for me it's like it's a fast process, and then it's over.
Yeah, and that thing is hard to recreate sometimes. That feeling.
Yeah, and usually when at least for me when it comes that fast, like everything, it comes like then it usually turns out pretty good. Yeah. Usually when I sit, I have to write something, and I sit and I ponder and I scratch my beard for hours. Then usually sometimes it turns out pretty good anyway, but usually it's not that interesting. It's more like it's forced.
Yeah. Well, real pros have to do both, they say. You have to write when you're uninspired, and you have to write when you get those moments of inspiration too. So, well, awesome demo. So where do you go from here? From like, apart from everything else that was of course different here, I think the intro is a bit longer, right?
No, I don't think.
On the demo, or is it the exact same demo intro?
It's exactly the same. I just cut it out in the production.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but it's
the voices there as well.
Yes.
Yeah, everything. But I think on the album it's more like faded in.
Okay, yeah.
It's a longer fade, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe true.
On the demo, it's more or less just starts from.
Yeah.
More like Blackened than Justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, let's get a shorter intro. Cool. So where do we go from here? Do
Okay.
we?
Look in the Logic project, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna get an insight into the world of digital madness.
Yes. So I do a
Like-
share screen here. So here you see the. It's quite some tracks here.
How many? To be exact, we have 50
it's,
something, but that's with the orchestra and stuff, right? Or
Yeah, but there's not so many tracks in this actually. It's just 47 tracks.
Hmm.
So
a normal Wackenfeld song, is that between 40 and 60 tracks, or?
yeah, I think this is maybe have the least amount of tracks. Yeah, somewhere between 45 and 60, I would say, on this record.
Yeah, like a
That's not,
normal sized orchestra. It's like,
yes. On this one, we actually only have sampled orchestra. I used to, as I've done on the Razor's Edge, I do multi-layering violins and violas, for example. But on this one, I didn't thought it was necessary because this sample library sounds so very good. It's Spitfire's BBC orchestra sample library that came out on October last year when we began the work on this record. So actually, I bought the whole sample library from Spitfire, doing some commercial here. And began working with this library along with the record. So there's not so many orchestral instruments either on this. There's so much going on in the band, so to say. So there's not much room for the orchestra to shine through. So there's some horns and some trombones and trumpets and violins.
But Thomas, can you tell us about how you think when you add orchestra to this kind of music? What is the process?
The process is, as I said, there's quite much going on on the
no.
in the in the sound picture. So there's not much room for an orchestra to shine through here. But on this one, for example, I didn't do that much. I listened to the song, and then there's some melodies and fills coming in my head, and then I write them down or perform them with the violin. And
Do you have your violin handy? I think
yes, somewhere.
we want to see it now.
But that's out of tune, I suppose.
Less excuses. Show us your violin.
Here's one of the violins. It's very out of tune now. It's a
Vad heter
violin.
stråke på engelska?
Bow.
Bow. Where's your bow, Bo? And is that the cheap one or the expensive one?
I have built it myself, so it's
No way.
just the material.
Of course. Who doesn't build their own violin?
Yeah, it was when I studied at the university. When I studied Baroque violin and ordinary classical violin, I didn't have money to buy a Baroque violin. So a very good friend of mine, Robert, he's a violin maker, a luthier. So I was he taught me to build violins during my
Like you do. And what makes that a Baroque violin? compared to what other violins?
It's a shorter. The fretboard
Scale?
is no, not fretboard. The fingerboard is shorter.
So the scale is shorter, or
Yeah, it's a short. It's like
shorter
a
neck,
scale,
or what?
and it's a straight neck, and with a slightly thicker. What's the English word for this?
So it's more of a Les Paul than a.
Yes. I have never liked Fender, for example. I'm a Les Paul guy.
Yeah.
And
Cool. So a Baroque Les Paul violin
yes,
made by Wackenfeldt himself.
you know, we are 3 carpenters in this group.
So that's the criteria for joining Wackenfeldt, is that you need to be able to build your own damn instruments.
Yeah, and be a carpenter in some way or another, and a teacher.
Yeah. So that's like the criteria. You're supposed to be able to nurture Jesus into place.
Yeah, that's what I
like
thought as well.
Joseph, yeah, like you're like 3 Josephs.
Yes.
Carpenter and teacher.
Yeah.
And we're spreading our gospel through our music.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I think all the pieces are, falling into place for the listeners when they, you paint the picture, and now they see that it's pretty damn serious in a non-pretentious way. Ooh.
I haven't played on this violin now for a while, and it's very out of tune, and it's gut strings. That's
Gut
quite
strings.
metal. Gut strings made.
So that means that it's made from the neighbor's
Yes.
intestines.
The neighbor's sheep.
Awesome.
Actually, I think they are made in Italy. These ones. I don't remember.
So I think the rest of the black metal community can call back when they play on Real Guts.
Yes.
Yeah. And before that,
problem with Real
they
Guts-
don't need to call.
And then you have this Baroque bow. It's quite pointy, and it's more like a bow, like a ordinary bow. So and it needs to be warmed up before I can play it. It's just very wispy.
Awesome. So do you remember any of the what you call it, like the lines or motifs that you play in this track? Do you remember any of them? I put you on the spot here.
Yeah, I can check.
Or if you listen to one, could you sort of half replicate,
I haven't-
even if it's not in tune, but it's.
I can check the notes here.
Of course.
I have to move them a little bit because the samples are a little late, so I have moved them a little before the grid, as you can see. If I take a look at here on, it's quite.
Damn.
For example, it's the first line there, and then you have the theme. Oh. I have to have some resin. I don't know the English word for this.
What is it? Like an oil or?
No, the opposite. It's made from what's the bleeding from the trees? What's that?
Kåda.
Kåda.
Resin.
Resin. Yeah, it's resin.
Not raisin, but resin.
Yeah, resin. And as I said, the violinists have been unplayed for maybe 2 months, so it's a bit dry and whistly now. And then
Awesome.
we have a little melody coming in the violin here.
Damn, that's it's like a Jungle Book theme where the snake comes, sort of.
Yeah, that's what I thought of as well.
Maybe.
Sounds a bit Arabic.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, what
harmonic
scale is that? Is that like a certain scale or?
it's a harmonic scale, you could say, a C minor harmonic scale in some way or another.
Yeah.
There's quite atonal music we have, so it's not very easy to.
So you have to create a space like you say, it's atonal. Is that like there's not? It shouldn't be much to play with as an orchestrator. Is that what you?
Not you cannot stick to a key, a certain.
You have to add something more, or like
Yeah,
that isn't there.
you cannot say that this is in C minor, for example. It's not the ordinary C minor scale.
But
It's not
so
like
that does that make it harder, or does that make it easier? Because does it give you more room to play with, or does it? Because you can pretty much pick. Is it like you can play whatever you like? Because it's like you by what you play, you actually add the key, or
yeah. Actually, we have when I compose songs, for example, for Wackenfeld, I actually have my own scale that I often use. It's a kind of a harmonic scale, it's quite close to more Eastern sounding scales from Eastern Europe. I have played some Eastern European music earlier on, not so much nowadays, unfortunately. But I really like the sound of Eastern European music or Eastern music overall. So it's like this scale. That's the main scale for Wackenfeld songs.
and as we all can hear, it's straight from any romantic comedy with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, right?
Yeah.
or the opposite.
So excuse me, the bad sound for the violin. It needs 1 hour of playing before it sounds good.
Why is that? That the violins, do they sound different when you like warm them up by just the heat from the hands, or is it just from the heat of the bow, or?
Yeah, it's very dry because it's winter here now in the north of Sweden. So the heating systems are going nuts. We have 20 degrees minus today. So the heating systems is going full, and then the wood in the violins dry, and also the strings, because it's organic material. So when you play on the violin and breathe and you get humidity from your bodies.
Yeah, you breathe the bävergäll to it. Then.
Yes, the bävergäll. And then the gut strings is very sensitive, so they get out of tune immediately. They play on them for a while.
I think we need to make our own Wackenfeld strings for all the other instruments too, and just call them gut strings now.
Yes.
I would definitely buy them straight away.
Yeah, I used to buy strings from a company in the south of Sweden called String King. They're very good.
String King. So let's call them up.
What?
So let's call them up.
Yeah, and then they're what do you say? Their vardspråk. What's that? Their
motto, or
their motto are "In gut with trust."
String King. This sounds like a stripper, male stripper.
Yeah, and gut in gut we trust. I think so. But do they make? They don't make guitar strings.
No, but they buy from Gamut and Aquila and the string makers around the world and sell it.
But it's for classical instruments, not for. They don't.
Do
they have anything
for lutes and violins and baroque guitars and
awesome.
They
for
sell gut strings.
So for the baroque version of this album, we can then actually get endorsed by In Gut We Trust.
Yes, we can do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, but
Okay, where were we?
yeah, the orchestration, but it's not so very fancy on this one. We can take a listen to the orchestra here. There's some bass trombones going on, some violins, violin 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and trumpets. So
And where do you start? Do you start with the violins when you?
where the tutti, as we say in orchestral music, where the band comes in after Jon's intro. So it sounds like this. So here it's just a doubling of the riff of Jon's riff, and then we get a little melody here in the trumpets and the violins. Oh, and then the horns comes in.
Awesome.
And you also have some tubular bells. I really like the sound of tubular bells because they sound quite out of tune, so you get this weird out of tune sound when you double the guitar riffs with the tubular bells. And then we have these fifths going on in the horns that sounds aggressive or warlike or something to strengthen the aggressive sound of the song, so to say.
Awesome. So what, like, in a part like that, when I listen to an orchestration, like all of the stuff that you have in your songs, I always get it's hard not to get like a cinematic sort of feel, like you get a picture of the movie that you're seeing. And like, what movie are we watching here, would you guys say, when you hear this? Is it like a warrior type thing, or is it, as I said, it's probably not anything with Tom Hanks in it?
I thought of what's the movie called? Like the prequel to Alien with
Prometheus.
Prometheus, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So, yeah, it's very primeval order then. Extremely. 1,000,000 plus 10,000 years.
Yes.
Or 1,000 years back. Cool. I think it's great to get that vibe.
It's quite it's not very prominent in the mix, the orchestra, because when you mix something, the instruments eat of each other. So,
yeah. That's I guess the hardest thing when you have, because in your the sound that you've got now, the guitars are pretty meaty and low, so they probably take up a lot of space of anything else that is in that same, the frequencies. Is that something you think about when you mix? Do you look at frequencies also?
Yes. First and foremost, I of course listen, but then you look at there's some space here up in the treble register.
Yeah.
So you can put some high violins in the high register on the violin.
Yeah.
And I also use a lot of reverb on the orchestra to get a 3D.
Put it in a 3D room.
Yeah, there's band here and there's a big orchestra, and then you also get a sense of infinity and space in the mix, and that is created mainly of the orchestra, because the guitars and drums are quite dry to get, so you get the aggression in front of your face, and then you have this orchestra that creates the depth in the mix, and then the space and the feeling of infinity.
Cool.
So that's my strategy for mixing.
Cool. So we're gonna are we moving on in the
Yes.
orchestra?
Yeah, we can take here's a lot of things going on. We can check it out.
What happens in the space that you just jumped over now?
Here.
Yeah, or before, like where we stopped before. Yeah, there on bar 73.
Yes. We can take a look here.
Just bass, trombones, and horns, right?
Yes, it's in this section.
Cool.
I think it's a chorus here. We can listen to the orchestra first and see what the orchestra is doing. Oh, excuse me. Sounds a little Mahler or Bruckner.
Definitely a dramatic part of the movie. So what does that sound like with the full the tutti?
The tutti. We listen to.
Or the tutti, was that just the orchestra tutti? Or
I
if you
would
want
say the whole band and orchestra. Or everyone.
So when you mix something like that, is it difficult to choose what the focal point is going to be? I mean, where do you, if you listen to like different mix techniques, they usually start with one thing, like, okay, you mix from the drums, so you mix from the vocal, you mix from the guitars. Like, what do you think like that? You work on mixes, or like where do you dial in something first and try to build around that? Do you like, is the guitar the main focus, or what do you start with?
I start with the drum and the bass.
Yeah.
And on this record, I think I have put most, because Yoon is recording the drums, and they are very well recorded and sound quite good when they come. They sound good when they come, and then of course you have to tweak them a little bit to get the sound going together in the mix. And then I work with the bass. So actually I put down most of the time in this mix is to get the bass sound good. Because if this bass sound good and drums sound good, everything will be much easier. I wouldn't say that everything will sound good, but you can do a very good guitar sound, and you cannot build from that. As that's my opinion. I often try to get a decent sound in drum sound, and then I glue it together with the bass. And when you have that fundament, the Christmas tree, you can put all the small balls and everything on it, the guitars and the solos and vocals and stuff like that. So you have.
I think when the bass sounds really good, it makes everything else sounds less like noisy, and everything sounds more compact and like warm.
Yeah.
So do you have, is it many drum channels and bass channels? Is it difficult to listen to bass and drums?
No. We can take a listen. If we begin with the drums here. And as you can see, I have no plugins on the overheads for the ride and the hi-hat, and not on the ride. Then on the hi-hat, I put a little EQ and SSL bus with some tweaks on. So that they're actually not much on, as you can see. The tom-toms is on their own channel, and there's a little compressor and some EQing, not very much, quite straight. And the snare, use the Universal Audio's SSL on that one. There are some tweaks, some gates and things like that, and the tom-toms is gated, and then sometimes you have leakage, too much leakage from the snare or the bass drum, so you have to cut them up a little bit instead of using the gate. So this sounds good. we wanted a quite natural sounding drum set, and when we are blessed with a world-class drummer as Jon, we don't have to fix so much in the mix, so to say. It sounds good.
Cool.
It's well recorded and well performed, of course. And the performance is, you can have good microphones and a good room and a good drums kit, but if you cannot handle the drum kit in a proper way, it doesn't sound good, even if you have all the good. So a good drummer is a
Starting point.
But it's the same with all acoustic instruments. You have to learn to create your own sound. I mean, it's a big difference between just playing, just like hitting stuff, and making it sound good. It's something that is hard to teach. I try to teach my students about it, but I cannot really say what makes the difference, but it's something that comes with time, I guess. You learn the touch of it.
Yeah, because all you guys are actually teaching others to play music.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're music teachers. And Jon was my drum teacher when I was in school.
Yeah. So this is, you could say that this is where the frustration of students come out.
I have very good students.
The sound of frustrated teachers wanting to make a better place through music.
I think we're quite happy teachers, aren't we?
I think so.
And then smash cut to the real scene.
But you can compare to, for example, we have a very famous jazz piano player from Hälsingland called Jan Johansson, and he played the piano, and the piano is like a drum kit. It's a percussive instrument. You have a club that hit a string, so you can say it's a percussive instrument in some ways. And Jan Johansson, he said that the one problem with the piano is you cannot shape the tone. And if there's one piano player in the world you can immediately recognize, it's Jan Johansson. When he strike a key on the piano, you hear, it's Jan Johansson.
Cool.
I think that's what you mean, Jon. You just don't hit.
It's. I mean, it's the same thing with an acoustic guitar or a violin or all I mean, the difference when you play keyboard, for example, the sound comes from within the synthesizer. You just pull the key and it triggers a sample.
Yeah.
So you don't like create the sound from how you're touching the instrument, but all acoustic instruments, I mean, the sound begins when you start moving your body. Yeah. So I think in that regard, it becomes really like an extension of your personality.
Let the fly out.
Yes. Yeah, we can take a listen to the bass and the bass and the drums maybe. So the bass is quite hard processed compared to the drums. I use, I think this is a very good, it's called Bias FX from Positive Grid. It's a good, a very good, what is called in English?
A plugin.
Yeah, a plugin.
In Swedish, it's called plugin.
Butt plug-in is what we do.
Plug in Helsingborg.
The verb would be butt plug in.
Yeah, but it's about. So this is the bass. And it's quite simple performed, because if you do too much tremolo on the bass, you get rid of you lose the bass frequencies. So I try to play quite simple on the bass to get all the bass frequencies sound, because they have a long curve. So if you strike the bass string all the time in the tremolo, you cut the bass frequencies off. So that's
you don't give them time to actually fulfill a cycle.
Exactly.
So if we're playing that, what does this remind me of game shortly, and with the risk of making enemies, do we hear a little Pete Steele influence on the bass sound here?
That was a very good guy. He was going to turn 60 in these days somewhere.
Yeah.
I noticed him. I didn't think of Pete Steele actually. I really love Type A Negative and Pete Steele's way of playing the bass. It's like a Lemmy on volume or something. But
yeah, nice, awesome.
Yeah, but
he's got a very like sort of distinctive bass sound also. It's
very lot of distortion.
Yeah,
and that's quite much distorted. One problem with distorted bass is that distortion also make the bass frequencies, make you lose the bass frequencies.
Yeah,
you have to be very careful with distortion on the bass.
Do you ever have two basses? Like you have this distorted one. Do you also do like a line one with like totally clean somewhere?
Yeah, on the previous record, the Interpreter, I just did a copy of the bass and then had a bass, a sub bass that was cut off somewhere around 70-100 or something. We have the roll off, and then only that was because the Interpreter bass was more distorted than this one. So we had to, Tommy Rehn and I, who mixed the record, had to make
the
low end more prominent. So we did two bass tracks.
Yeah.
I didn't play,
but you don't have like a clean straight in sort of bass added also.
No, this is just one. It's quite simple. On this record, we don't have multi-layered guitars, for example. It's just one guitar to the right and one to the left.
Cool.
So this is what you get. Very simple.
And with the drums, that would be...
We'll listen. Oh,
So if you were to add the vocals into that, this is something I've been wanting to hear for a while. So
Okay.
if we just add the vocal into that,
yeah.
what would that sound like?
We take a listen.
Awesome. And if you add the orchestra into that too now, and maybe the same part, yeah. Is that the first? Cool.
Inferno.
Awesome. I guess that, as you say, it's like with distorted bass, it's like you almost already sounds like you have a really low guitars added in with the bass frequencies there. Cool.
I think the secret is to keep the bass simple.
Yeah.
It's like having a bouillon in the stew.
Cool.
So, and we can take a listen to the guitars, for example.
Yes.
And the fun thing when you mix, it's not maybe the best ever sounding guitars when you listen to the guitars by themselves, but you have to make them into the whole picture. It's quite difficult.
Yeah. Well, we
Excuse me. It's quite
Cool, and-
sloppy played.
no, and if you add the bass into that, so bass and guitar together,
Yes.
cool. So the bass, it's like the high end of the bass really blends into the frequencies of the guitars, really. Then and the sort of core kärnan of the bass sort of gives a bit of definition to the guitars, I would say.
Yeah, I do a little lift in the 2500 frequency to get the in the bass. There's some small bass lines going on between the chords in the guitars, so the bass player can shine through and do some small solo
Yeah.
melodies.
Cool. I think it's cool to hear it this way, because that sort of explains what the full mix then becomes, because the bass and like the guitar frequency is really kind of also the high is like, yeah, the high end of the bass also. So it's like it becomes sort of one almost. But
Yeah, they glued together in the EQ.
yeah.
Yeah, Thomas, isn't the idea with the bass also, or it's the way it's played? Isn't that from like Cliff Burton, that the bass plays something different than the guitarist?
Yeah.
So it becomes like something new together. Like the guitarist play this and the bass play that, and then it fuses together to create something
Yes,
like a synergy.
Yes, exactly. I'm more. I really love Jason Newsted. I think he's one of the best bass players in the world. And sometimes it's good to be Jason Newsted to copy the guitars, and to strengthen a wall of sound kind of thing. But mostly, I try to find other ways for the bass, like Cliff Burton did. To play other notes than the guitars and play to get another layer of music into the whole picture.
And we have not to spoil, like if this is too much of a spoiler, but you have, or did you already put out some Metallica cover songs also?
Yes, we did a celebration of Metallica's
40th.
Yeah, 40th birthday. So we put out The Thing That Should Not Be on their birthday. It was the 28th of October, I think, when Lars and James got together for the first time. So we recorded The Thing That Should Not Be, and we not gonna spoil too much, but on the next single, Halsu, we're gonna have Orion as a cover song, but we have recorded some other Metallica songs that we had done to celebrate the majesty of Metallica and the 40 years of their big influence on the metal scene.
Yeah.
On the music scene in general, I would say at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they've gone from being like the metal gods to being like one of the most important bands in the history, almost.
Yeah.
Like Beatles and ABBA, I would say.
Jesus, almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus, El Savior, Christ. But for this Primeval Order, the B side is The Razor's Edge. Do we want to talk about that a little bit, or
Yeah,
are we done with this one? Or are we gonna?
I want to take a look on the guitar solos. I think they're
Let's do it.
fantastic.
Fantastique.
Fantastic, yes. We have Daniel's extraordinary solo here.
And if we play it, we can actually add in the video again.
Yes.
And it should match up. Awesome. So what are your favorite guitar players when it comes to guitar tone and feel?
Let's see. One of my all-time favorites is Dimebag, but that's not mainly because of the tone, because in reality, most of his tone is quite not bad, but not the very best either. So let's see. I like King Diamond's guitarist, Andrew Rock and Mike Weed, and of course, Steve Vai has been a long time not influenced, but I enjoy his guitar work a lot.
Favorite track?
Favorite track with Steve Vai?
Yeah, I remember one video. I guess it's mostly videos that you remember. Like this one where the whole video is backwards. I think he plays the song backwards. So he learned it backwards to play it in the video backwards, and then they flipped the video. That I can't remember that one. But then there's another one, maybe the same track, but it's called "For the Love of God" or something.
Oh yeah, I think that's the first video he did.
Okay.
For the Love of God, and I think the backwards one, it's when Devin Townsend.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Vocals.
Yeah.
I don't remember the track name right now, but actually
that must be a pretty okay, can you learn this backwards? Because we're gonna flip it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay.
I can do it.
And then you also, like, when you started, like, was that the first guitarist that you got into, where if you take us back to 1999 or when did you start?
I guess it's about 25 years ago. So
yeah,
somewhere around that time. I was 10 or 11. I really, really liked Carlos Santana and Jimi Hendrix when I first started out. So that's the two heroes I had that I looked up to when I started playing guitar. But that quickly changed to James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett. So, yeah.
Cool.
It's weird that you say your heroes are Andy LaRocque and King Diamond, because that's what I always thought of when I heard this solo, like the first part of it. With the harmonies, I always think of King Diamond, something from a King Diamond album.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really cool.
What's the favorite King Diamond album? Is it like them era, or is it earlier or later?
I really like Abigail, and Abigail too.
Yeah.
But I don't think he has released a bad album yet.
He's one of those artists that don't really do sort of a techno album in between or something. He's like, he stays pretty consistent with like, there's nothing wrong with a 6-pack.
Yeah, exactly. So he's definitely one of my big favorites.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Andy LaRocque. I remember because we were going to do a Danish show with Entombed, and somebody had the great idea to try and do is it Welcome Home?
Yeah.
And so we like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We were doing it for we didn't do it live. We did it for a 7-inch. And then when it comes to the solos, we like, okay, let's call them up. So Mike Weed actually stepped in and helped out with the solo for that one. And Andy LaRocque was going to do it, but he didn't have the time because we were on a. So I had to try and fake my way through it. But and then Jocke Skog magically edited the solo together, so it actually comes off as half decent. But it's those guys are great.
Yeah, I really like them.
Cool. So how did you get into Santana and Hendrix? Because that's you can have worse teachers, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really remember how Santana came into the picture, but Jimi Hendrix, he's like always been there.
But is it like parents that grew up with like force feeding you rock music growing up, or
he is an old rocker. He played a lot of Kiss and ACDs and Motorhead and stuff like that at home. So I've always had rock music close to me. And I've always known about Jimi Hendrix because, he's Jimi Hendrix. So.
Yeah. And I guess Hendrix can be a little, like, if you start out, because it's not, like, I guess, the most easy thing to try and copy.
Yeah.
He's he's playing all over the place and like not that many single note things. I guess it's like his solos are like chords almost sometimes, and it's like it's pretty. Because I remember, you try and it's like
Yeah, it's the little things you can try to learn. I remember I think it was the intro for Purple Haze.
yeah.
Just two notes.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I learned that, and I was very proud of myself.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna learn 2 notes, I guess those are the right ones.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no one can sound like Jimi Hendrix.
No. Another guy that I like that I don't. It's like it's not a band I like having my cassette player growing up, but it's Brian May. I like the tone of his guitar. Yeah. It's like, is that something you like?
I can't say that I've really listened much to Brian May. I've always heard Queen, of course, but
yeah, because it wasn't like the hardest. Like they weren't played at the same time with the Kiss records, I guess, at home.
Yeah,
in my place either. But it's like growing up later, it's like, okay, it's got something magical going on, and that's also with the fingers. It's like it's the tone of the. So well.
Exactly, and his approach to solos, it's the same as like Randy Rhoads, where the solo is another song in the song.
Yeah, exactly. He's another great guy. Do you like another simple player like Iommi? Is that because he's got that broken tone that I
exactly
sort of love.
Yeah, definitely. He's got the less is more approach.
Yeah,
to like Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah, he's also like I remember buying Marching Out somewhere in Gothenburg as a kid because somebody was kind enough to sort of buy it for me. But that was like, it was too, for me, it was because at some one point or another, you try to learn what others do, but that I just gave up straight away because I could never. It's like, okay, let's stick to Iommi.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, of course, like, because sometimes people that have the ease to get that fast, sometimes it's like they fall into the pot and it comes nothing bad about Toto or anything, but do you know what I mean? Sometimes when people get too good, it becomes too easy for them to play.
Yeah.
It sounds like, and some players are really good, but they sort of pull back and make it, they play it with a cool, they could play it totally clean, but they choose to add a little bit of for example, a player like Kurt Cobain, he could probably play as clean as everybody, would ever want, but he choose to do it, like on another dial, which is, so I mean, is that something you think about when because I you can obviously see that you have the skills to play really, really technical stuff. Do you when you play stuff, do you also think about the way you play it, or is it like, because that's I think the way it comes across, at least, with it's not like just hitting a lot of notes, it's also
it's a lot of thought behind everything.
Yeah.
I'm not a fast player per se. I don't particularly enjoy playing fast solos, but sometimes the song calls for it, like the or Primaeval Order. It starts with a fast, like, arpeggio sweep picking stuff that I don't normally do, but the song called for it, so I had to play it. But
cool.
I like playing melodies, like melodic solos, and with a focus on a good melody instead of
cool stuff. Yeah, and Randy Rhoads, that's as you said, that's a guy who writes a song in the song.
Yeah, exactly.
With a solo, which is,
I really like that approach.
Yeah,
it's great.
What other instruments do you play? Like, because as you since all you guys are music teachers, I mean, what kind of teaching do you do, and do you then have to play all these? What are the ages of the people that you teach? Is it in school, or is it like private lessons, or is it?
Oh, it's like music class, so it's from kids from age 10 to age 19.
Damn. So you get the teenage years.
Yeah,
Of
exactly.
madness. So how do you keep them focused? What do you play? Like how do you grip a teenager's mind in a music class these days? What's like? Do you have to play them Avicii, or do you play them like folk music, or what do you play them?
Do a little bit of both. I like to have them play stuff that they enjoy listening to in their spare time, but then sometimes I throw in something that I think they would like, but that's something they won't hear if I don't show it to them.
Cool.
Swedish folk music and like classic rock and stuff like that, because nowadays that's music that you don't hear on radio or Instagram or TikTok or wherever kids listen to music these days.
What do your students listen to? Like, does it differ from the 10-year-olds to the 19-year-olds, or is it like, does everybody just like what is on TikTok?
It's a lot of TikTok music.
So TikTok mixed with game, like whatever plays in the games, or is that past that too? Because I remember when my kids were, they were like listening to music, and it was like, yeah, I like this because it's in this mobile video game.
Oh yeah, I think more these days it's more TikTok music and meme music.
So everybody hears like the 15 seconds of a song that is, so it's going back to like breakbeats almost. People dance to 20 seconds of a song.
What's the song called? That's something I've played with a lot of my younger students, like the kids. Savage Love.
Mm.
With the saxophone.
Yeah, sometimes it's weird. The parts that get chosen for me, it's like, where did this come from? It's like, oh, it's from a meme or something. And then it's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And the kids have no idea that it's like a cover song from something else. But and I guess then you played that Music and Me. What's our like piano track that was all of a sudden it was all over the world, and I couldn't understand where because I hadn't heard it anywhere. And then it's like, okay, it's on TikTok. It's like piano. What's her Tones and I? The artist, Australian.
Oh, is it the Dance Monkey?
Dance Monkey. Yeah. So do you know that by heart now?
Definitely.
Ding, 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 ding. Oh yeah, I played it a lot of times as well.
Awesome. So we can do a TikTok version of the album as well. With first we have the orchestrated version where I've already asked Daniel to play the mandolin, and of course Thomas is going to do the violin, and Yoon is going to do the skin flute. Or did you?
And we have this. My neighbor made this clay flute.
Oh, now we're getting into. We're gonna black this out.
Some bluesy things, maybe.
Is the flute growing when you play it?
Yes.
Wait.
Yeah.
Can you play it again, Sam?
Okay. Play. It's a good song. So,
It's was it hard to learn?
quite. No, it's a very easy to play. My neighbor, he's fourth generation pot maker, so he's very skilled.
And it's pot as in clay. No, we're not promoting drugs here.
Yeah. Pot as in clay. Definitely.
It looks familiar.
Yeah.
It's
I've seen that too.
Yes. Very good. Very good to have when you have
Hands
student
over.
that fall asleep in the Zoom seminars. I play a song.
You bring out the flute.
I bring out the flute and play a song, and the students is suddenly waking up. What the fuck was this? Listen, guys, I have to go very soon. So should we take a brief look at the racers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It was very interesting to listen to.
Because what are you gonna do? You're gonna go and work on the violin.
Yes, actually I'm going to a funeral, so it's quite a sad, sad.
Yeah, but you're not shoveling dirt. You're playing music, right?
Yes, I'm playing music, but I'm a teacher also, as Daniel. So I teach at the university as a senior lecturer. I think the English translation is docent, associate professor, or something. So actually, this was recorded during
Office hours.
office hours. Yes, the string.
as a part of a class, right? Or
Yes.
you were. Did you have a like another lecturer that you were teaching something?
Yes, I was lecturing blending techniques, blending plug-in sampled strings with the real stuff. So that was the subject of the lecture.
And you're teaching older kids, right?
Yes, I teach students at the university, both teacher students and music engineer students.
So first, Jon and Daniel sort of mold them into something, and then they send them off to you to get totally destroyed.
Exactly.
And they will listen to AC/DC.
Yeah. So they have to go through the hard part and then to level up to AC/DC.
Yes, AC/DC is the final goal for everyone.
Final countdown.
Yes, Metallic or AC/DC. We can mention we spoke. You asked Daniel about instruments, and on Orion we will have Daniel playing the accordion and mandolin on Orion.
Ooh,
Yeah.
So
interesting.
yes, so this now we have real strings here. So we
And
have,
is this you playing at an actual lecture or?
yes. So it
Cool.
was recorded by a very fine music sound engineer called Nils Johansson. He recorded, so we had the lecture together.
So business and pleasure
Business and pleasure, yes.
are friends.
And then the students had a task to do a mix of the strings, the plug-in strings, the sample strings, and the real stuff. So you can take a listen to the real stuff here. Oh. Bad sound engineer here.
Bad sound engineer. Bad.
Sounds quite romantic when you listen to only the strings.
Yeah, it sounds and a little bit sort of. It's definitely not rom-com as the other track.
No, this is very. This sounds very. It's. I use Swedish type of Swedish folk music as a tip, and we also have a sampled cow horn somewhere in the mix here.
Sampled cow.
Yeah, sampled cow horn. Also, ordinary cow horn that you can play on. It's an old Swedish instrument. So you can listen to that. And if we mix that, we take the whole orchestra, it sounds like some fantasy movie, Viking movie or something, I don't know. Excuse me. So that's a more full orchestration on this one, and this was the first track we recorded. We have been inspired by Metallica in many ways, and Metallica always have recorded a cover song before they do the record. For example, they recorded the Prince before Justice for All, and they recorded the Queen song Stone Cold Crazy before the Black Album, and so on. And as far as I'm concerned, they did that because they want to settle the sound for the record. So we did the same with the Razor's Edge. So this was the first song we recorded and did a full mix on to get a decent sound on the record. So this was the template for the whole record.
Awesome. So it kind of sets the tone.
Yes, exactly. And this was the first, we have done some cover songs for this record too, more cover songs coming up. And I don't know, was it my idea or I don't know, remember whose idea it was to record.
Maybe it was mine. No.
It was Fabio.
I thought it was your idea.
Maybe. I really love the Razor's Edge. I think it's the best AC/DC song on the best AC/DC album.
It's pretty cool because it's like, I guess most people would like pull out Back in Black or Highway to Hell, but you pull out Razor's Edge. That's
I've always loved the Razor's Edge since it came out in the 1990s. 1990, I think the Razor's Edge was out. And
is that the Rick Rubin album or
I don't
or is
know.
that too early?
No, I don't think it's Rick Rubin. It's another guy producing it. But you have, of course, Thunderstruck is a hit song, and Money Talks and all these ones. But I really got stuck on this one.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. But at the same time, it's not a typical AC/DC song. It's quite different because it's a lot darker.
Yeah,
Most AC/DC songs are more like
it's a bit of an odd title track, or like.
Yes, but it's very odd, and it doesn't fit. I love all the AC/DC albums, even the new ones, and but of course, Back in Black, you have these. Monumental records, but it's quite easygoing rock and roll that it's hard to not like. But this song it's very deep in some way. I don't know. It fits our sound very well, I think. So we tuned down the guitars to A. So
is that the tuning for Primaeval also, or is it?
That's
lower?
Tuned in C.
Yeah.
So this is
this is one full step, two steps below.
Yes, 3 steps below C.
Yeah. Bam.
So it's quite. Did you use baritone guitar when you recorded this, Daniel?
No, I used the 7th string.
Oh, the 7th string. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a baritone guitar.
Cool. So, what's the original? Is that in A or
E minor.
Okay. So Yeah, I was just if it would have been, and you play it in
A minor.
A minor.
Yes. So that's quite ordinary. It's not so much to say about this one. There's a very nice guitar playing here. And then you'll have double it. And this is like an ostinato going through almost the whole song.
Yeah, because that's in the original version. That's pretty prominent, right?
Yeah, I have lowered it in the mix because there's so much going on in the orchestra and everything.
Yeah,
I tried to I doubled this with I tuned a steel string guitar like a folk tuning. It's a D-A-D-A-D-D tune, so you get a very folky sound on the guitar. And when you double it, sounds quite good.
cool.
And the whole picture.
They're swiping on the left and marching on the right. Don't look up in the sky, you're gonna die of fright. Yeah, comes the racers in.
It's quite easy to sing on this one because Brian Johnson he had this black metal kind of singing.
Yeah,
So I just used my black metal vocal style of singing. But we have to show Jon's skill as a choir singer.
Yeah, I'm doing some backup vocals here.
You had a guy under your chair squeezing your balls a little bit here. No, we're not going to record. You can listen because there's hard to sing a melody with the black metal vocal. So Jon had to sing the melody in the choir.
awesome. Because I was listening to this when it was obviously released at midnight on the 7th, which is today. So I went into Spotify at 0000, and that was one of the things that because I listened to it a number of times because I was happy that it was finally out, and it was like, is that really Jon singing, or is it added with like some sort of a high string as well? But obviously it is. Is that just straight voices?
Yes.
Yeah, like how many tracks are there? 6 or something?
Yes.
Yeah, and it sounds, because it's like the highest there is like, it's like, okay, is that a voice or is it like an instrument? When you hear when you hear it in the mix. Now obviously
it's always been my party trick. It's easy for me to sing that way, so it's just how my vocal cords are
how you're
built,
wired.
I guess. Yeah.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
It's easy to sing like female song parts.
Yeah. It's an amazing track.
It's a lovely song. So in the mix, it sounds quite decent.
message.
So,
Awesome. Fantastical. Did I say testicle?
fantastic.
Did you say there was a new Beavis and Butthead movie coming up?
Yeah, I noticed on Facebook or some social media somewhere that the new.
Now that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Fantastical.
Yes. So,
Yeah, I mean, do we have?
I can just mention that we don't have to look at it, but I made a playthrough of the Primaeval
Yes.
Order on drums.
actually flattered by the most thorough enslavement that has ever existed.
So, because that's one of the things when you do a playthrough like that, you obviously, this is not the drum take from the album, but you've pretty damn close, right? Because you played it the other day again, right?
Yeah, and for me, I consider myself more of a jazz player in that regard. I really have a hard time to learn something note by note and do it like exactly the same every time. So especially when doing like a playthrough like that, it's a different thing to record like for an album. Then you can just work on parts. Like you do the verse like a couple of times, and then you do like the chorus, and then you stitch it together. But just to play it from beginning to end, it's that's my interpretation of myself.
Cool.
If I played it one more time, I would play it a little bit different. But this is like the how it sounds live, I guess.
Yeah,
So
it's awesome. And when you do the takes for the album, do you usually play like once through, or do you stop and do parts?
Yeah, I always do like pieces of it.
Yeah,
I think it's more. It's different to if you record with someone else, like in a room, and you make it more of like a live recording, so to speak.
Yeah.
Then it's something different, I guess. But since I'm usually doing it by myself, I think it's more time efficient and more. It's easier to be creative, I think, on the parts. Like okay, this now I have the verse. Usually I put the song in the computer, and then I cut it up like in pieces, and then I color all the pieces different colors. So I see like, okay, this yellow part, usually I have yellow for blast beats. So I know when if it's the yellow part, I know it's a blast beat, or if it's green, it's like a Slayer beat. Like,
so what's the red parts? What?
Usually it can be like for intros and solos. Usually I have purple. So I have my color codes. So
cool. So if
then I can just look at the computer and I see how many times does like a certain part come again. So
cool.
If it's like 3 times, I know from the beginning I can see, okay, like the 3rd time perhaps I will try to do something a little different every time, like the same color comes, and then I can
you play that part over and over 3 times until you got it, then, or
no. Usually, if I just do it like in order. So I'm not doing all the yellows first.
No.
I do like from the beginning, but I can see like if some part comes many times, I just try to build it up a little bit. So like it crescendos. It's like the first yellow is perhaps a little bit easier or simpler, and then like the second time it's a little bit more, and the third time is a little bit more.
So from moderate blast beat to mid blast beat to extreme blast beat.
Yeah.
So if we go code yellow to you, you will like all of a sudden you would think of a blast beat then.
Yeah.
And I've heard you're a bit of a fast drummer, no pun intended, but I've heard rumors that you sort of, if you record drums for an album, if the music is like it's 60 minutes, you record it in 50 sort of.
It depends. I think you have to make for me, if there's going to be drums on music, it has to like make sense.
Yeah.
So the drums have to like make the song better, or else you can just have something else or skip the drums. But I try to listen to all the like small nuances in the like the riffs or the music, and to follow the music, and then try to do things that enhances like what's happening in the music. So sometimes you play with the guitars, and sometimes you play like against it to create tension, and also to come up with things that are a bit unexpected perhaps, or something that is fun to listen to. It's like, oh, that's a cool fill, or so. I can hear some recordings I've done where I play where I'm like rushing to make it done, and I'm not laying down that much time. I can hear it immediately on my playing because it sounds boring and uninspired.
Oh, because you didn't add as many variations as you would have if you spent more time on it.
Yeah, but on this record, I would say Thomas always has like many great ideas on the drums that he like makes on the demos from the program drums, and then I can like steal ideas from that and come up with. So it's a blend of my ideas and Thomas' ideas.
Yeah, because you said that one of the things that you thought was special with the music that you guys make now is that it's never really, it doesn't follow maybe a straight sort of structure in the. Does this go for this song, you would say, as well? Or is it more overall where it's not, you said like, okay, usually it's like verse, that A-B
yeah,
thing.
I'm really lazy when it comes to like the structure of songs. It's like,
and then you give it to Thomas and the other guys, and they sort of add weirdness in there, and it comes back as
just for structure of songs. I always go for the easy solutions for some reason, but it doesn't like interest me in a creative process. It's for me, it's more like cool riffs or cool something that is like a. It's like if you're writing a book, it's if you have like a really good story, you can then someone else can write like the words around it.
Yeah.
So you have to have something that is a good starting point.
Yeah, you put the skeleton up, and then somebody adds the posh clothing.
Yeah. The makeup on the pig.
Yeah.
As you say.
Okay, I have to go now.
I have to go now. Should I stay? Should I go? Before we go, when Daniel left his chair, you must get the most point for having the best choice of chair, though.
Thank you.
Because it went perfectly with the background.
Yeah, the throne.
Yeah, the throne.
Oh, no. King Diamond.
Well, so I mean, I would say we got more than we could be asking for here out of the band, and all the parts. Hearing all the parts sort of opens it up even more. And I would say that it would be great to, as we talked about, maybe adding the demo to as a bonus thing. But with the permission, I would, because I always love to hear things. I don't know what you guys think. We haven't talked about this, but would it be interesting to sort of put up parts for people to hear? And because it becomes almost like a teaching thing also when people can see because was it for the Razor's Edge that you actually have everything written out, the music?
Yes.
So that you could it could be a bit of a teaching or a learning experience for somebody that's interested in orchestration and maybe even in mixing and stuff like that. It could be a great way to get people involved. No, but I mean, I love that. If you guys are into that, it would be really cool to maybe put some stuff up.
Jag ska vara där om 20 minuter. Jag måste hinna byta om.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.